Hey, welcome to Acting Career Expert Studio. My name is Dan Warner. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's really amazing. It's something that everybody wants to know, and that is how much money can you make as a commercial actor doing commercials? This question comes from Dave L., who's one of my clients and one of my subscribers, and a really nice guy, and he has coined the phrase. He calls my YouTube channel, he calls it D-Dub University, which I think is awesome, and I might take that name, Dave. So thanks for the question. Dave wanted to know, what's it like being the face of a Fortune 500 company, or having a career as a commercial actor and getting a campaign. A campaign is really what you want. As far as commercial acting, you can't really do better than a campaign. And a campaign is when you become the spokesperson for that product. The Verizon guy, Can You Hear Me Now?, who also turned into the Sprint guy, which was a brilliant move. To have lightning strike once and to get a campaign where you're the spokesperson for that product and making a boatload of money, but to have it strike twice, he definitely takes the cake. He was making, in his heyday with Verizon, and I'm sure he made more with Sprint, about $2 million a year. Now, you have to understand that these are super few and super far between. There's a handful of people. There's the Allstate guy. There's a handful of them out there, but no one is as well. Back in the day, it used to be the Maytag man. He made a bunch of money, and then my good friend David Leisure was Joe Isuzu, and he had a nice campaign run there for a while. He's a brilliant actor and became a dear friend of mine. So, David Leisure is awesome. So he's a great golfer too, by the way. And I'll tell you how I met him and all of those things, and I might do an interview with him because he is a wildly interesting guy, and he was a series regular on some sitcoms, and anyhow, went on to do great things. So I think the person who wins this is Stephanie Courtney, who plays Flo on Progressive. If you don't know who Stephanie Courtney is, or Flo from Progressive, you've been hiding under a rock. I think she started in 2008. So, that's what, 8? It's 22 now. That's 12, 13, 14 years. So she's been doing this for 14 years. Her salary is reported, and this is reported at $2 million a year. I can tell you, as someone who has had not one but two campaigns myself, you don't work that hard. She probably works 30 days a year for her $2 million. I'm guessing, based on what happened with me. I was the DirecTV guy back in the day, back in 2000 or 2001, one of those two. I became the DirecTV guy, the DirecTV installer, and I worked, I got the campaign. We did a couple commercials, and then they decided they wanted to do a campaign with me. We did 20 spots over a 2.5-year period. When you get a campaign, you no longer are getting paid for a pay-per-play, meaning you get paid each time the commercial runs. It doesn't work that way when you get a campaign. When you get a campaign, you negotiate for a yearly salary. And your yearly salary, depending on how you negotiate it, includes personal appearances, print work. It includes voiceover work for radio, television commercials, and a couple of other things that they could throw at you. And so you negotiate for usually as few things as you can for the most amount of money that you can. And I won't go into detail about my negotiation, but it was pretty crazy. So what ends up happening is you say, for Flo, for example, she would say, I'll do 7 commercials or 6 commercials this year. I'll do 2 personal appearances at some insurance seminar or something, and 12 print jobs for $2 million. So that's going to take her, 6, 12, about a month, maybe a little less. Not working, and you don't work every day. You work, 6 or 8 hours one day, 6 or 8 hours, and they break it up. So throughout the year, you're going to work about 30 days throughout the year. You can also obviously audition for other things while you are the spokesman for a company, depending on what their conditions are and if they have an exclusivity clause. You don't want an exclusivity clause. You want to, like, for example, Flo can't obviously do any other insurance commercials, and no one would ever pick her up for that. But you don't want the company, like let's say it's Progressive, you don't want them to tell you that you can't do a sitcom or you can't be a series regular on a show or any other commercials. First of all, what's going to end up happening for like the Verizon guy, can you hear me now? For Flo with Progressive, the Allstate guy, no one's going to hire them for any other commercials anyway. So yes, you make a lot of money, but no, you probably won't be able to do any other commercials for a while, even after, like let's say you did it for a year and you shot 10 commercials and they ran the hell out of these commercials. No one's going to hire you to shoot another commercial in that 1 year period. It's fine because you're making a lot of money, but you just can't do any other commercials. Television shows and all that, yes. With Flo, with Stephanie Courtney, she's so well known that I think even television, streaming services and all that, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Showtime, CBS, NBC, all of them, I think would probably steer clear of Flo or Stephanie Courtney as an actress, because she's Flo. And you have to pick and choose. Listen, it's not a bad gig. There's a lot of people who would trade their front teeth for her deal. $2 million a year over the last, and she probably didn't start with that, but over the last 10 years, it's probably been at least $2 million a year. So, she's got some money and she's set for life. So you have to substitute that for the rest of your career, really, unless she stops being Flo and then 3 or 4 or 5 years later, she looks different, gained some weight, lost some weight, got gray hair, whatever the case may be, and then auditions for a part on a show and can sort of make her way in that way. So you can have 2 careers, really. You can have your career where you were the spokesperson for that show or for that product as a commercial actor, and then you can have your career as a regular actor doing your thing. So it's tricky. It's life-changing. When I booked DirecTV and we started negotiating, it was a whirlwind. I made more money than I'd ever seen in my entire life. I bought a house, and I bought some property, and I bought a couple of cars, and I remodeled my house, and it was amazing. I got a publicist, and they flew me around to these celebrity golf tournaments, and that's where I met David Leisure. And so it's private jets and limousines and free golf and people wanting your autograph and all of that kind of thing. And it was kind of surreal. But it was surreal for us, for a small group of people, because at the end of the day, it's a commercial. And yeah, people recognize you and all that, and it's great. But this too shall pass. And so, now I'm flying coach on Southwest. So there you have it. It's a bit of a roller coaster, and you have your ups and your downs. And there's some really, really great things that come of it. And if you're smart and you negotiate well and you save your money, things can go really well for you. As soon as DirecTV ended, it ended maybe in 2002 or 3. About 6 months later, I got an audition for the Propane Council of America. And it was another campaign. And I played Propane opposite my good friend John Hemphill, who played Electricity in the campaign. And it was fantastic. And it was sort of lightning striking twice. It wasn't quite the amount of money that DirecTV had, but it was pretty good. And we did that for 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that. We did about 14 or 15 commercials, personal appearances, print work, radio, voiceover for radio, and all of that. And it was fantastic. And the people at the Propane Council of America were just wonderful. My dear friend Roy Willis was the CEO at the time, or president at the time, and he's just a wonderful man. And they made everything really magical for us. They made us feel like rock stars. It was really, really fun. So there you have it. That was another really great one. Between those two, it was a bit of a life-changing ordeal for me. And, my good friend Pete Breitmeyer was also on the Progressive commercials. And I actually met Stephanie Courtney, Flo, from Progressive, because I was at my friend Peter Breitmeyer's house, and he had a birthday party, and she was there, because Pete had done, 10 or 15 different Progressive commercials. He was one of the guys who was for a while who was the opposite. He was on the rival insurance company, him and his buddy, and they were in a lot of spots together. And that was not necessarily a campaign, but it was a pay-per-play, and so he made a bunch of money on that as well. So the landscape has changed a little commercially and all of that, and there's not as much money around as there used to be, but for the campaigns, there is that and more. And so it is a wonderful sort of life-changing experience when you book a campaign for a commercial. And I will tell you that I won't go on and on with this story, but I almost didn't go to my DirecTV audition, the audition that changed my life. Almost didn't go. I had gone on an audition for DirecTV before, like a week before, and then I was talking to my roommate at the time, and he was complaining about how he had gone to, my ex-roommate. Anyway, he was complaining about how he had gone to an audition for Toyota, and they had already seen him a couple days before, but he was reading for a different part. And when he got there, they said, "Oh, we've already seen you." He goes, "Yeah, but that was for a different part." They go, "Nah, it's fine." And then they dismissed him. So he went to the audition for nothing, because they didn't see him. They didn't let him read for the other part. I don't know how much of that was true, but that's what he reiterated to me. So I had auditioned for DirecTV, not for the installer, but for a different part. I get a call. You have an audition. It was on a Saturday. You have an audition on Saturday for DirecTV. Well, I was living at the time in South Redondo Beach, and the audition was in North Hollywood. It was Studio City. It was a long way away. It was about an hour drive on a Saturday. And so what came to my mind was, my friend, my ex-roommate, had an audition and then had another audition, and then they dismissed him. And I thought, am I going to drive an hour one way, 2 hours round trip on a Saturday for them to say, yeah, no thanks, we've already seen you? So I almost didn't go. And I thought about not going. I went to a bar with a buddy of mine, and we were having breakfast in a bar restaurant. And we were having breakfast and Bloody Marys and some other stuff. And so he says, you should go to this audition. And I thought, I don't know. They've already seen me. He goes, just go. I've got stuff to do, and we'll come back here after. So I left, and I went to the audition. And it was on a Saturday. And then they did callbacks on a Sunday, which is unheard of, which means they're in a hurry to get stuff done. Suffice to say, I went to the callback. I thought they'd already booked the installer, which they had, but they changed their mind when I read for the installer, because I was reading opposite another guy. I was just doing the reading anyway. I didn't want to be the installer because the other part was funnier, and I come from a comedy background, and so I wanted to be the funny guy, and the installer was the straight man. And so when it was my turn, they brought us in 2 at a time into the room. This guy read for I call him the lawnmower guy, and then I read for the lawnmower guy. Well, I wanted to be the lawnmower guy because it was funny dialogue. And so the installer's talking to the lawnmower guy. So when I'm reading for the lawnmower guy, I'm being the funny guy because my background's in comedy. So when it came time for me to read for the installer, I was not giving it anything because I don't care about, I'm not the installer. They've already hired the installer. I'm just reading lines to help this guy. I'm his scene partner in this. So I threw it away. I was very casual and nonchalant about it. That's maybe the biggest takeaway that you should get from this entire video, because they saw my read and went, oh my God, this guy is the installer, because I didn't have anything on it. I wasn't trying to get it. I was just being a real person in a real place, having a real experience. And so cut to Sunday callbacks for the installer, and there you have it. The rest is history. I booked it 1 or 2 days later, Monday or Tuesday. We shot 5 commercials, and then a year later they decided to do an entire campaign with me as the DirecTV installer, and it changed my life, and it was fantastical. And yes, it's few and far between, but it doesn't mean it can't happen to you too. So go to every audition, turn in every audition on tape, do your absolute best work every single time, because you just never know what is going to happen from each audition. They're all big. They're all huge. They could all lead to something or nothing, but maybe something. And that's what we're here for. And we're here to act, and we're here to show people our craft and all of those things. Dave L., thanks for the suggestion. This was wonderful to talk about this. I haven't talked about it in a long time, but this has been fantastic. If you have any questions about this, leave them in the questions and comments section down below. If you like this video, hit the like button. Visit visit actingcareerexpertstudio.com. I do private coaching still for a short time, and our website's going to be up. My God, it's going to be up in like 80 days. There's a countdown. Go to actingcareerexpertstudio.com and check it out. Man, there's going to be tutorials and videos and PDFs and all kinds of really cool stuff, everything acting. It's going to be fantastic. Get on the wait list, and you'll be one of the first to be able to join actingcareerexpertstudio.com. My name's Dan Warner. Thanks. That's it for me. I will see you next week on another episode of Who's the Boss?